This video is for your platform and step unit assignment, where you are drafting from the platform and step unit model piece. You're drafting drawing of this model piece. When you're finished, your drawing should look something like this. You have an elevation view here, a plan view here that is a reverse and repeat. In other words, it's a completely symmetrical unit. So you really only have to draw half of it separated with a center line and just put in the note reverse and repeat, which means basically we reverse and repeat this. It's a two-part mirror image, and we only have to draw half of it with a reverse and repeat note. So what we have here in terms of orthographic projection is plan, elevation, side view, and a section at the center line, so that we actually are capable of looking at this cut in half to see this inside surface of this step unit here, which we see here. Now, given the principle that we're going to try to always show on a drawing every surface that the audience sees, we've pretty much taken care of that, because we see the top of the platform, the top of the steps. We see the front of the platform and the front of the steps. We see the side of the unit all put together. In other words, we see this side, but since it's a reverse and repeat, we also see this side because it's a reverse and repeat. It's the same, just a mirror image. And then with the section at the center line, we see this side, inside side of the steps units. Now, there are some other things here that are kind of important for you to understand, because, for example, this is orthographic projection. The center line lines up. It's not continuous because these are two separate views, but the center line lines up. The side lines up. The sides of the steps line up. The height lines up from the front elevation view to the side view. The height of each of the steps lines up. All of those things are part of orthographic projection. Because we've moved the section at center line out of the orthographic projection, in other words, it's not projected from straight out from this view, we're labeling it as a section at center line because that makes it easier to understand. Now, a few other things. The depth in this view, in the plan view, we see the width and the depth, but we don't see the height. The depth here of 8-foot deep platform and two 10-inch deep steps doesn't need to be dimensioned here or here because it's been dimensioned here. Likewise, the height of the platform, shown here as 1'9", doesn't need to be dimensioned as 21 inches here because we have it here, and doesn't need to be dimensioned as 1'9" here because we have it over here. Now, why would we dimension this as 21 inches in this view? Remember that heights of platforms or steps or any standing surface in a plan view is done in plus whatever it is, inches, not feet and inches, plus inches. So it's 21 inches, 30 inches, 36 inches, whatever it happens to be, rather than 1'9" or 26 inches, which would be 2 feet 2 inches. It's just that plus inches. Let's see. We see the note here, reverse and repeat, for the stage right side, so we only have to draw the stage left side, and the note tells us that the stage right side is a mirror image. You see here, we can use the center line as an extension line. And the center line is, as always, a thin, dark line with long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. And the long segments go past the perimeter of the object. Same thing down here, long, short, long, with the long parts going past the perimeter of the object. And the traditional CL here as a marker for center line, something you see all the time on drawings for the theater CL, overlapping CL, means center line. So this section at CL means a section view taken at the center line. The other thing, and this is something I like to do on drawings, I use the traditional lower right-hand corner for the title block. And I think that that's just what I've always done for the past several decades. And because of that, I think it balances the drawing to put the name of the object over here, and it gives the drawing a little bit more visual balance. The other thing that I do is, if something sits directly on the stage in its views, sometimes elevation, sometimes side view, but somewhere I will indicate a line and the word stage to show that that level right there, in other words, the bottom of this, is the level of the stage. It's a little finesse point, but it's a finesse point that really aids the understanding of the drawing. Notice also I tape down the corners and then the perimeter to make sure I'm not tearing the drawing when I'm finishing it up. You can also see the old-fashioned or traditional dimensioning style with the extension lines going past the dimension lines ending in arrow points, and the dimension line broken in the middle for the dimension, and in this case all dimensions reading from the bottom of the page. The very small dimensions are offset here and here and here and here, just to make it a little bit more readable. I'm not going to try to make little tiny numbers. It just, nobody could read them. Diagonal lines for the section lines. The best way to do that with what you have is, because usually when we're doing section lines, we want them to be at 45-degree angles unless there's some reason to do them at some other angle. But the first angle you choose is 45. Best way to do that is you have your adjustable triangle all the way closed, and that's automatically a 45-degree angle. So here we are, putting in those in. I could have put them in the other direction, which is fine. The direction they are is up to you. I see that most designers and draftsmen who draw right-handed make them this direction, and most people who draw left-handed make them that direction, because it's easier to keep the plastic underneath your hand. If we had some other section on here that was a different material or something like that, then we might want to go to using a 30-60 triangle to do diagonal lines one way or another, because they are a different direction than 45 degrees, and that helps make things clear if we have parts that aren't all part of the same thing. In other words, parts that move, that are sectioned through, parts that are adjacent or not joined together, or different materials. Those are some of the things that we would use different section lines for, and we'll get into that in more detail later. So there we go. Your drawing should look something like this. If this is a little higher and you put this dimension down here, that's fine. If this dimension is on this view, that's fine, and not on this view. Just want to avoid double dimensioning, as we always do. All right, let's get to it and get these things drawn. Thanks.